And here we are at the beginning of what is likely to be the last walk of the Capital Ring, back on the River Lea. Just walked down from Clapton Station. It's going to be a glorious day. So let's go. The Capital Ring is a 78-mile walk around Greater London, crossing the Thames at Woolwich and Richmond, and is in 15 sections. Today we'll start at Clapton Station and finish section 13, and then do sections 14 and 15 back to Woolwich where we started, and completing the Capital Ring. That's the Lea Bridge Road, famous London road, crossing the River Lea. Over Lea Bridge, I guess. Well, as most of today's walk, certainly the first third at least, is along the Lea navigation. Lots of river scenes to come, but don't forget, just to the left of where we're walking, we've got this vast expanse of football pitches, Hackney Marshes. So this is what we're walking by as we look at all those boaty scenes. Interesting architecture under the massive bridge that takes the A102M across the river. And as we move seamlessly to section 14 of the Capital Ring, the penultimate section, we start to see Olympic Park from the 2012 Olympics coming into view. We are going to get a bit closer to that before we move away from the Lea navigation along the northern outflow sewer, on top of which is a green walk, apparently. Here you have the main stadium of the 2012 Olympics, now home to West Ham Football Club, moved here from Upton Park. Factory of H. Foreman and Son, who claim to be the world's oldest producers of smoked Scottish salmon. By the Olympic Park here, the canal suddenly gets a very bohemian feel to it. We're just about to turn off. There's the old water bus stop that was used to take people to the Olympic Games. Water bus is no longer running. So this is goodbye to the Lea. We're going to turn away now and head on our way towards Docklands. And now we have started our trek along the northern outflow sewage embankment, which is NOSE for short, which obviously shows somebody's got a sense of humour. And we're walking on top of one of the biggest sewers in Britain, carrying over 100 million gallons a day of sewage from Hackney to Beckton. And it's treated at Beckton and then discharged into the Thames. And here we have a fantastic view of Olympic Park with the stadium, now West Ham United. And now we come to Stratford High Street. A high street with no shops. They're all in a big shopping mall just down the road. Oh well, that's the price of development. Here we have a lady with lavender lattice work on this building that was the former head office of Yardley the soap makers, dwarfed by all these skyscrapers. Views over to Canary Wharf from this part of the Greenway. Sort of heading in that direction ultimately, I think. Here's the Abbey Mills pumping station. Another one of those pumping stations built on this occasion to look a bit like an oriental palace. Apparently it has an interior like a Byzantine church and was dubbed the Temple of Sewage during its operational life. Here's a segment of the Bow back rivers, which are largely navigable backwaters of the River Lea. This is one of the widest. So the guidebook says there's a cafe round here, but I couldn't find it, so we'll press on over the Jubilee line. Okay, just heading back to the Greenway from Plaistow High Street, where we had an extremely nice coffee stop with some Portuguese custard tarts. Should have set us up for the next 6 miles to Woolwich. And this impressive structure is the fairly recently restored Universal Church of the Kingdom of God, restored from dereliction in 1985. Just walking past Newham General Hospital, where I worked as a registrar in gastroenterology for 9 months in the mid-1980s. Nice looking hospital. I don't recall an on-call when we didn't have at least one stabbing. Just at the end there, you can see the massive Barking Creek flood barrier about 3 miles away, where the Roding joins the Thames. So here, after several miles on the Greenway, we leave through this subtly marked exit, heading down towards Docklands through Beckton District Park. Just crossing over the A13 on our way to Royal Victoria Dock. There you see the Beckton Alps, which is a slag heap from a gasworks that was grassed over and used for a while as a dry ski slope. I think you can still see the ski lifts on it. And into Beckton District Park. What a contrast 100 metres makes when you're walking in London. Just coming now to the start of section 15, which is the last section of the Capital Ring. So we're going to go down to the docks and walk along and finally go under the Thames and end up where we started a week ago. Just crossing into the Dockland campus of the University of East London, passing over the DLR and under the A1020. And here we finally come to Royal Albert Dock with London City Airport on the other side and the skyscrapers of Canary Wharf in the distance. Royal Albert Dock formed part of the Royal Docks that at one time were the largest commercial docks in the world. They're now closed, of course, to commercial traffic, but this is now being converted to an Olympic standard rowing course, which regularly holds regattas. I think people also go swimming here. These buildings here are apparently student accommodation. A bit better than the student digs I had when I lived not a million miles away from here in Whitechapel. And here's the Sir Steve Redgrave Bridge, which replaced an earlier swing bridge. Is of course named after the famous Olympian rower. So we're just walking under that bridge to take an official deviation through the docks, said to be rather more attractive than the official route, which seems to go along big roads mainly. So here's the Galileans Hotel, which is a Grade 2 listed building and is where people used to stay before they embarked on the massive liners that were docked here in the Royal Docks. Still nice to see a bit of undeveloped dock. Just crossing this massive lock that lets boats on and off the Thames. And this is King George V lock, which is still full size and operational, with gates halfway down it. Biggest ship to use this lock was the Mauretania in 1939. And there's a view across the river to the Woolwich Arsenal, where we started what seemed ages ago but was in fact 7 days ago. So not far now to the end of the Capital Ring. Here we are, the Woolwich Ferry in the distance, and none of us are sure, but we think that might be an old Woolwich Ferry. Remember, they were decommissioned in 2019. Final stretch on the north bank of the Thames towards the portal of the Woolwich Foot Tunnel. There is a lift, but as we're supposed to be walking the Capital Ring, I personally won't be taking it. And as we walk down under the Thames, we come to the lowest point of the Capital Ring at 80 feet below sea level. Thames is above our heads. 101 steps to the end of the Capital Ring. Hooray! Honourable mention to Stephen D, last seen on one of these videos outside their house at Footscray, who joined us on this epic adventure. And honourable mention to Marion and Martin, who joined us on the last two sections. Good to have you along.
Thank you.
Good
nice
to be
and
here.
enjoyable. Been fun.
And here we are, the end of the Capital Ring. More or less where we started 7 days ago, 78 miles, and the rest around London. Hope you've enjoyed this series of videos. See you next time, probably on a canal somewhere. Bye for now.